As I said, the Joamites emphasized the end of this age and emphasized the return of Christ. Again, a characteristic that was common among many renewal movements, both in the medieval and the modern era. Um, Scholasticism was another movement in this time period that rationalized theology in order to support Christian faith. Um, but uh, but um, and part of the challenge that this medieval church faced was in finding a way to harmonize scientific discovery that was starting to happen as a result of the early Renaissance with biblical doctrine, and so people began to try and think through this, developing a school of scholastic thought that led to the earliest universities of the era. um, However, there was a reaction against scholasticism because while scholasticism focused on the head, it often ignored the heart. And thus, mystics and mysticism offered something that appealed to the emotions of individuals and offered an intimate connection with God. Um, there were a number of different causes for the rise of mysticism. As I said, first of all, it was a protest against scholasticism, but secondly, it was also a reaction against the corruption and formalism of the church. The Black Death in 1348 and 1349 allowed people to speculate about the judgment of God and the desire for a deeper connection with God. And finally, the Babylonian captivity and the Great Schism, which further divided the Roman Catholic Church and weakened it, led people to pursue God directly without trying to connect with God through a hierarchy of bishops, priests, and popes to pursue God. One of the most popular leaders in the mystical movement was a woman named Catherine of Siena. You can read about her there's additional information about her in the online lesson material for this week's lessons, in addition to other material regarding both Francis of Assisi and Jan Hus, who we'll talk about in a minute. But Catherine of Siena, it's often suggested that she was the first female pope. She actually led the Catholic Church um, through one of its darkest time periods during the Babylonian captivity, when the papal seat was divided between two locations and two popes, and ultimately between three popes. And she helped unify the church and helped draw the church towards God. The Pope himself sought her consult and her advice, and she was a significant leader in the mystical movement at the time period. Uh, just a couple other significant leaders at this time, and we'll close with these people, are John Wycliffe. We owe our English Bibles to John Wycliffe, who translated the New Testament into English, and also Jan Hus, who taught at the University of Prague and helped lead a renewal movement in what is now the modern Czech Republic, and in the region of Bohemia. It's estimated that he perhaps had as many as 1 million followers. But most significantly, he started a movement um, that led to a group called the Unitas Fratrum that we'll look at later. After the Protestant Reformation, they were significant in bringing about the first great awakening of Christianity and modern church renewal. And then finally, Savonarola, who preached reform as a Dominican monk in Florence. All three of these people were significant in helping bring about Christian leadership, renewal, and reform at the latter part of the medieval era. Sadly, they all gave their lives as Christian leaders as well. But they were significant leaders in leading the church out of what's many called the Dark Ages, but in spite of these Dark Ages, there was always ongoing renewal and revival and prayer taking place within the church and within individuals at this time period. Look forward to talking to you about the Reformation next week. See you then.